Hey y'all, it's almost July, and here in Central Texas there's not a whole lot going on in our gardens besides preparing for the heat and keeping things alive. But there are a couple things you can be doing right now, and one of those is propagating to get ready for your fall plantings. Hey y'all, welcome back. It is getting hot here in Central Texas. It's the end of June. We've actually had a fairly mild June for Texas. We've only had I think 1 or 2 days that were above 100 degrees. But it's already in the mid 90s and it's just gonna get hotter. So this tends to be the time of year where not a lot is going on in our Texas gardens because it's really too hot to plant anything. So we're just kind of in maintenance mode and trying to keep things alive. One of the things you can do though is propagating for your fall plantings. This is a great time of year to look at some of the perennials that you already have in your yard and get them propagating. So when the temps lower, you're gonna have free plants that you can put in your garden. So let's get going. So one of the first things I'm going to propagate is my white Salvia greggii. This is a Texas native, and I love the white. Oh, that's, hey baby. And I love the white blooms on this, and I want a lot more of it in my garden. Not only is it great for the pollinators, but also that white color is going to bring a little bit of calmness to all of the other colors that I have in my yard. So I actually want to take several cuttings of this, and I'd like to put maybe like 5 or 6 more of these in this big bed that I'm doing. So let's get going. Okay, so here's my salvia, and this was just put in this year, so it's not very big. So it doesn't really need any pruning this time of year, but we're gonna go ahead and take off. If you look at the stem here, you can see kind of toward the base of the plant, I've got this brown woody stuff, and then as it gets up here, you've got this green section that's more pliable. This is the good stuff. This is the new growth, and this is where the plant is focusing its rooting hormones. So this is going to be great for propagation. So we're literally just going to come in, snip, 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 and we'll get a couple more. Okay, so another thing I have heard propagates very easily is flame acanthus. I've had this guy in the ground for going on about 9 months. I planted him last fall. I've never propagated a flame acanthus, but when these are in bloom, I'm going to get down so you can see the flowers. These are just the cutest little flowers that the hummingbirds love, and it's just starting to bloom for the summer, so it's not super showy right now, but I'll put some pictures up to show you what these look like in full bloom. But it's the same process. You want to try to find that newer growth. In the case of flame acanthus, the stems are not green, so it's not as easy to tell. So we do want to find some pliable material. We're just going to go ahead and clip right above a node, and I'm just going to take a couple of these. These actually get really big, so I don't have a ton of room to put 8 or 9 of these in my yard. Although, you know what, if you propagate and you end up with too much, you can always give these to your neighbors, because the more people that have pollinators in your neighborhood, oops, look at me with my scissors in front of my camera. But yeah, the more people in your neighborhood who have pollinators, the better off you're going to be in your own garden. So always share. All right, and the last thing we're going to propagate, this is a Salvia farinacea. This is the Henry Dulberg cultivar. This particular plant, this was knocked off of one of my main plants I think by my dog, and I found it, literally just put a hole in the ground and stuck it in, and it happened to be the week that we were having a lot of rain here in Central Texas, and I mean, it took off. You can tell I cut off, when I planted it, I cut off the main stem that was right here because, again, you want the energy of the plant to go toward rooting. But this has only been in the ground, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks, and you can see it's already taking off. It had a bunch of blooms. Most of the blooms are off now, but it'll get another flush here. But I'm gonna go ahead. This was already a free plant, so let's get some more free plants. Cut these off. And we'll get these potted up. Okay, so here we've got our little snip section here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull off these leaves. We're gonna leave these little nodes, and I'm going to cut off this flower, and we are just going to stick this directly into some soil. And then you can use some rooting hormone if you have some. But really that's it. Salvia greggii is one of the easiest things that you can propagate, in my opinion. And we like to do a lot of them because that way we'll increase our chances of getting them to root. So if I'm doing like 8 and I only have 4 take root, that's gonna be fine. If I have all 8, I will definitely find somewhere to put these guys. All right, I did take one that is on a woody stem. I've actually propagated really easily from woody stems, specifically with Salvia greggii. So I think it's gonna be okay, but it'll just be kind of our little test. And you do want to take off as many leaves as possible because you don't want the plant to spend its energy making those leaves grow, and you don't want to take them all off because you want to make sure that it's going to get some sunlight to make some chlorophyll for production. So I am going to put some rooting hormone on this one. I'm using the Bond-Tone rooting powder. There's a bunch of brands out there. I think they all pretty much work the same. Okay, we're gonna follow the same process for the flame Acanthus and the Salvia that we did, or the Salvia farinacea that we did for the Salvia greggii. I am going to put rooting hormone on all of these. The soil I'm using, this is just a flower and garden soil. You just want to make sure you get out the larger chunks so you get some good root contact. And I like to plant dry and then water in. I feel like when you are using the powder, if the soil is moist, then it kind of removes it from where you need it on the stem. So I will water after I get planted. Okay, so now that I've got these guys all potted up, I'm just gonna add some water to my basin here. I'm gonna fill this about 1/3 of the way. It's gonna soak up. And it might take a little while for that soil to soak up, so I like to just take a spray bottle just with plain water and get the top of my soil wet. Oh, I've got an empty spot here. Gotta go find something else to propagate. But it is so hot today that even if I put these in the shade, they're gonna wilt really quickly, and we don't want them to do that. So we're gonna get the top of this soil nice and wet. So I have some other things that I've already been rooting this summer. This was actually a little seedling from one of my rock roses that I just stuck in a pot to see how it does. These 3 empty trays, I've got red yucca seeds in here. I am not holding my breath on these. I've had these potted now for probably a couple of months, and they're not doing much. I do have a couple of little green leaves in here. I don't think that's the red yucca. It definitely doesn't look like it. So maybe something else took seed, but we'll see what that is. This I'm pretty sure is a weed, but we're not really sure. I also had some, oh, you know what this might be? This might be a Salvia seed from my Salvia farinacea. So we'll see how that goes. But it's not gonna cost me anything just to give these a little more water and see if they work out. But yeah, so when I first get my transplants done, I like to keep them in kind of a part sun area on my porch, and then once they start getting rooted, then I'll move them into more sun and kind of keep them there until they start getting some good growth on them, and then they'll... Hey y'all, I'm coming back to you about an hour later. It got so hot my iPhone actually turned itself off. So, you know, that's what it is here in Central Texas in summer. But we got our propagations done. So for the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're just going to keep them in kind of a part shade area on the patio, so they don't get too dried out. Make sure that the soil stays moist, and then we'll, you know, check the roots here in about 3 weeks. And the best way to check a root of a propagation is if you just give it like a light tug. If it doesn't go anywhere, it probably means you've got some roots going on. And then yeah, once we get some roots going, we'll probably see some leaves start to develop, and then we can start getting more sun into them so they really flourish. And the idea is that we've got free plants that we're going to be able to put in the ground, you know, coming up in a couple of months here at the end of September, beginning of October. We never really know what the weather's going to be like, when's fall really going to start. But yeah, that's the goal. So I'd love to hear what you guys are propagating in your gardens, if this is something you've done before or something you're going to do. The Wildflower Center, the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center, if you go to wildflower.org, if you have plants that you want to propagate that I haven't talked about, they have propagation methods for all of the Texas native plants. So it's a really good resource to get more information. Make sure you're doing things properly, and good luck with your planting. Happy summer.